Good morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ and welcome to your detailed forecast update for November 28, 2024. I've got a lot to get through today, including some heavy rainfall on the forecast now for parts of south central Queensland and into New South Wales. Also some heavy falls up into the northern parts of Queensland. Severe thunderstorms expected to continue over central to western parts of Queensland, and then over into the Northern Territory finally some thunderstorms also expected there. And we've got a tropical cyclone offshore from Western Australia as well. I'm going to break that down in great detail for you later on in this forecast update. With all of that plus more coming up in today's weather forecast. If you're brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Your support is much appreciated. But let's get stuck straight into things over in the northern half of New South Wales and into the southern part of Queensland. So we have had a couple of decent showers overnight, especially into the northern parts of New South Wales, with rainfall accumulations amounting to about 20 millimetres of just steady stuff, which is fantastic news for them and exactly what they need. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like the radar and the satellite loop is keen on loading in. We've also had some very good falls into the southern parts of Victoria, where we have had accumulations in excess of 50 millimetres for some of the higher elevations. Again, fantastic news for them, but the rainfall there is certainly on its way out at this time. If we switch this over to the rainfall forecast and take a look at what we're expecting today, just a few more storms expected to fire up over this morning before they increase again this afternoon, especially for locations between Lightning Ridge right down to Sydney and Wollongong. In fact, we're expecting quite a gnarly severe thunderstorm outbreak in the western suburbs of Sydney and then out towards Bathurst and Lithgow tonight, especially into this afternoon. Some of these thunderstorms here, just taking a look at the forecast right now at around sort of 2 or 3 p.m. Local time tonight, they do look quite gnarly indeed. Certainly the chance of some powerful severe thunderstorms here. It'll be typical stuff, pulse thunderstorms firing up, rolling off the hills. They could go supercellular with some heavy rainfall, large hailstones, the chance of some damaging to destructive winds as well. There could be a few swirlies, a couple of twisters here and there as well. Just taking a look at this setup here, it looks very healthy for some powerful severe thunderstorms. Certainly plenty of energy in the atmosphere as well. I mean, we do have very high convective available potential energy values, much higher than what the forecast yesterday was suggesting. And again, further inland into the northern parts of New South Wales as well, great humidity values. You can see them here extending out towards Lightning Ridge and even into the south central parts of Queensland, looking like it's going to be a very healthy day for thunderstorms. And certainly quite a few severe ones expected into the north-central parts of New South Wales. There is a chance of thunderstorms, most likely non-severe thunderstorms around the St. George and the Thallin area as well this afternoon. We could also see some showers tending to rain and maybe the odd storm at times around the Longreach and Windora area. You can see just with how the weather's planning on playing out here, it does look like there's going to be a couple of drops of rainfall there. And some steady rainfall would be very welcome indeed before it turns to severe thunderstorms around the Mount Isa area. I will get to that in just a few moments though, towards the end of the video. Now these thunderstorms here, they will peter out by the evening hours and into later on tonight. There still will be a couple of showers around the Sydney and Wollongong area, and this is a very typical pattern that we do see into the southeastern corner of Queensland, where we've got that little bit of an onshore flow with some stagnant rainfall on the forecast models. So this will be interesting to see how this plays out. I would expect actually some decent drops of rainfall around the Wollongong and Sydney area by the 9 a.m. on tomorrow morning, but again, I won't be holding my breath for it. The chances are there, but it's a little bit difficult to make a proper forecast this time for that location, just in terms of rainfall, because it is such an isolated and a very variable weather pattern that we are seeing moving through. However, tomorrow I've got a much better idea of what's going to be coming through with this trough line. We're going to be seeing a bunch of rainfall developing into showers and storms into the afternoon across interior parts of New South Wales. Severe thunderstorms expected between Cobar and Griffith around the Hillston and Ivanhoe area. We've also got the chances of some moderate to heavy falls around the New South Wales-Queensland border, north of Brerawina, and then extending in towards south central Queensland around Charleville and Roma. The chance of severe thunderstorms in this area here, at least out where the trough line is going to be, it doesn't look too high at this time. In fact, I'd be surprised if we did have widespread severe thunderstorms there tomorrow afternoon, but there is a good chance around, like I said, the Hillston and the Ivanhoe area tomorrow afternoon, and also out towards Broken Hill as well. Just looking at the forecast, looks like there's going to be a couple of severe or some strong thunder cells there. Now, these storms will upscale quite rapidly into the night, and by Saturday morning, we've got a line of rainfall extending right through New South Wales and even towards central parts of Queensland. This rainfall looks to be light to moderate for the most part, but it could get heavy at times, especially around the Cobar area, extending through Cobar, across towards Tottenham and Dubbo, and you can see throughout the course of tomorrow some very heavy falls are expected from showers and thunderstorms, especially into the Blue Mountains area. I'd be surprised if Canberra and the surrounding towns didn't pick up 50 millimetres to the 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. Looks like some very good rainfall moving through there. Some good rainfall as well Also expected into the northern parts of Victoria, especially into the high country again on Saturday afternoon and evening, some great rainfall there. And then by Saturday evening and Saturday night, the rainfall pretty much clears out of New South Wales. For the most part, some good falls are expected, especially into the central parts of the state. There will be places, of course, that miss out on rainfall, especially considering that this is from thunderstorms for the most part. But for the most part, it does look like some good rainfall is going to materialise across much of New South Wales. And we'll just take a look at rainfall accumulations over not even the next 3 days, but over the next 2.5 days. You can see peak rainfall accumulations are well in excess of 150 millimetres for some of these areas here, or up to 150 millimetres, I should say. Now, consistently on the forecast, it's been the Dubbo, Bathurst and Lithgow area here outside of Sydney, just with the thunderstorms that are expected to fire up tonight and also the steady rainfall that we're going to be seeing on Saturday. That is going to pick up the majority of the rainfall, or the most rainfall across New South Wales, and that's been pretty rock solid with the forecast over the last couple of days. Lithgow, I'd be surprised if they didn't get 100 millimetres of rainfall. I think Sydney's also a good chance of about 80 to 100 millimetres of rainfall. The majority of that will come through tomorrow morning. Also some good falls expected throughout the course of Saturday mid-morning into the afternoon. Canberra expecting up towards 100 millimetres, the majority of that Saturday morning into the afternoon hours, and a good amount of rainfall expected around Thredbo and Cabramatta as well. Some very good falls possible there. And then some great rainfall and steady stuff that's going to be pretty consistent from showers and thunderstorms tonight, tomorrow night and Saturday morning throughout the northern and the northern central part of New South Wales into the Northern Rivers area outside of Narrabri. Moree as well will get Lightning Ridge expecting some great rainfall. All those locations expecting at least 50 millimetres, and also some great rainfall extending up into the south central parts of Queensland. St George and Thallon both expecting about 80 millimetres apiece. So some great rainfall overall. This is certainly going to top up those rivers quite nicely. We do still have that minor to moderate riverine flooding. It's now really beginning to ease off into the southern central parts of Queensland. I did foresee that being a pretty big problem, but considering the bulk of the rainfall has been shifted from today's forecast until Saturday, so we get an extra 2 days for the rivers to kind of dry out from what we were expecting about a week ago. It looks like those rivers might just be low enough to where flooding isn't going to be too much of a concern, but I would be surprised if we didn't see minor riverine flooding around this sort of area here outside of Bourke, Wilcannia and White Cliffs. Funny how that works, because they're not actually expecting any real rainfall out there. Bourke could get a couple of drops, but the rainfall out deeper into the western part of New South Wales, not only is it going to be really hit and miss, but they're not expecting an awful lot of the stuff either. But they are expecting to kind of pick up the majority of the flooding if it does happen. Some good chances of minor flooding as well, especially flash flooding from thunderstorms Saturday morning around the Lithgow and Bathurst area as well. It looks like there's going to be a boatload of very heavy rainfall there. And just before we move into the forecast for central Queensland, I would just like to briefly talk about southeastern Queensland as well, considering a whopping 40% of my viewers are there, and I feel really bad when I don't talk about their weather in any particular video. But taking a look at this, we do have a couple of showers here and there. The chance of a thunderstorm as well. It's a very weak chance out towards Chinchilla and then Roma this afternoon and evening, but again, really nothing to write home about. A few showers here and there as well into the high peaks tonight into early tomorrow morning. It's going to be a bit of a cooler day for Brisbane as well, but quite humid tomorrow. Into Saturday, we're expecting the chance of some rain and thunderstorms as well, especially later on into Saturday night. We could be seeing a brief outbreak of potentially severe thunderstorms close to the border, maybe around the kind of Stanthorpe area. We'll have to kind of wait and see on this here. It looks like there's going to be quite a host of thunderstorms further up the coast, so I'll get to that in just a few moments. And then Sunday morning, it looks like there's going to be a bit of a stagnant band of rainfall just offshore from the southeastern Queensland coastline. So I'd not be surprised if we're waking up on the first day of December to some very healthy rainfall accumulations before the chance of a severe thunderstorm outbreak Sunday night, and then the weather returning to cool, calm and dry throughout Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and even in towards Friday and Saturday for the first week of December. But yeah, Sunday's certainly going to be a bit of an interesting day, and you can see just in the terms of rainfall accumulations between Saturday and Sunday, with the bulk of it coming through on Sunday, some good accumulations are definitely expected around the southeastern corner of Queensland and reciprocated amongst the forecast models as well. So this is more of just a heads up at this time that Sunday morning we're going to be waking up to some substantial rainfall accumulations across the southeastern corner of Queensland. Not set in stone, but it's just a hunch that I'm having based off what the forecast models are suggesting. We will, of course, wait and see though. Now let's head up into central and northern Queensland, because we've got a lot of thunderstorms to be talking about here. They're going to be piping up from tonight, and the situation is, and I should have covered or thought about this in my coverage, but we've got a trough line and a monsoon trough extending across the Northern Territory at this time, and that's dragged into Queensland and into New South Wales, and that's what's providing all of central Queensland and north central New South Wales rather, with the rainfall that we've just spent about 8 minutes talking about. Now this is steadily going to head further towards the east, and you can see by tomorrow afternoon we've got that trough line here extending across the northern central parts of Queensland around Georgetown and Croydon, and then those thunderstorms here likely to be very severe on Friday afternoon with damaging winds, heavy rainfall and large hailstones, especially outside of the Charters Towers area. And it's been a while since they've had a gnarly thunderstorm outbreak, and it looks like the first one's going to be coming through on Friday. Some very heavy falls are expected there, tending to rain at times as well for some of these locations. It's just going to be that tropical downpour just pouring down with rainfall for hours upon hours at a time, and those rainfall accumulations very likely to blow out quite substantially to the 9 a.m. on Saturday morning. Certainly going to be some good rainfall there, and also by the looks of things, a bit of an onshore flow and a stagnant rain patch extending over the Ingham and Townsville sort of area, even down towards Bowen, expecting a couple of good showers and storms to the 9 a.m. on Saturday morning, so some good falls expected there. Saturday we'll see the same deal. Thunderstorms will be slightly weaker on Saturday afternoon by the looks of things, but still quite a few of them expected. We're also expecting the chance of a lot of thunderstorms extending more into the central parts of Queensland as well, so around Emerald, Ogmore and Rockhampton, the chance of a few showers and thunderstorms here on Saturday afternoon. For Rocky it's a little bit less likely, but Ogmore could still see a couple of thunderstorms, and then further up the coast as well, Moranbah, Glendon and even Mackay expecting the chance of some good thunderstorms on Saturday morning and into Saturday night and into Sunday morning. Rather, really scrambling everything this video by the sounds of things. Sunday's going to be the big day though. We're expecting a lot of showers and storms along the Queensland coastline, especially for locations between Cairns right down through Mackay. Some steady rainfall at times also expected in this area. A lot of slow moving pulse thunderstorms expected to just blow up and collapse in on themselves over and over again throughout the course of Saturday. Good storms also extending further out inland to the Cape York Peninsula, but the real rainfall is going to be the Atherton Tablelands, and thank goodness, this is great news to a lot of people, I can imagine. But the Atherton Tablelands, I mean, just take a look at this forecast here. Some very substantial rainfall accumulations look possible on Sunday. I mean, compared to what they've had over the last couple of months, this is very substantial and very welcome rainfall. But in the grand scheme of things, the majority of locations are unlikely to pick up even 50 millimeters on Sunday. And I know that's me being really pessimistic at this time, but just take a look at this forecast here. 50 millimeters, they need a lot more rainfall than that. They are in full-blown drought conditions at this time. The wet season does certainly look like it's threatening to break for them, but in terms of the thunderstorm rainfall here, it is a little bit disappointing, and that's why I've been saying in every single forecast, don't get your hopes up too high. Even though this is rainfall and it is a start, it's still from thunderstorms. It could be very hit and miss, and it's also unlikely to be that 100 or 150 millimeters over 6 hours that they really need. Some locations, don't get me wrong, are going to pick up some very substantial rainfall accumulations, especially into the mountainous areas adjacent to the coastline. Not really the Atherton Tablelands, but further towards the coast. Accumulations throughout Sunday and Monday expected to be well in excess of 100 millimeters for some of these places here, and even with showers expected to continue through Monday, Tuesday, and even in towards Wednesday from a bit of an onshore flow that's going to pipe itself up through Wednesday and Thursday. There will be plenty of rainfall to go around, especially around the coastline, but inland towards the Atherton Tablelands, I mean, Atherton and Ravenshoe could get 30 millimeters on Sunday. It's good rainfall, but it is only just a start. It's a drop in the ocean compared to what they do actually need. Still though, a start is a start, and it will be very great to see some good rainfall up there. But let's break down let's break down the next couple of days of rainfall accumulations for you just briefly. You can see well in excess of 100 millimeters further inland. Charters Towers expecting about 100 millimeters, and then from rainfall expected to set in on Friday and Saturday for Townsville and Bowen, probably about 30 or 40 millimeters a pop there. Good rainfall as well for Ogmore, about 50 millimeters from showers and storms. Rockhampton slightly drier at about 20 millimeters. Same deal with Agnes Water and Bundaberg. They're looking pretty dry at this time. Nothing too grand on the forecast there. Up towards Cairns and the areas around Cairns as well, especially to the Atherton Tablelands, from rainfall expected to come through on Sunday. Like I said, between 20 and 30 millimeters, probably on the lower side of that as you get closer towards Cairns as well. Ravenshoe could get a good drop though, so again, we will get excited for them, and hopefully some good rainfall does fall there. The real deal of the rainfall though is going to be along the coastline between Saturday right through to about Wednesday. Just over this 5-day forecast period here, you can see rainfall accumulations around the more mountainous areas adjacent to the coastline. On this forecast, expected to be in excess of 70 or 80 millimeters. Between other forecasts as well, much more rainfall is actually on said forecast here, so it'll be interesting to see what actually pans out. But I do just have a hunch that there could be 50 millimeters a day through Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday around the Innisfail and the Tully area, which would be fantastic news. It's the first real rainfall that they will be seeing this wet season. But yeah, in terms of tropical activity, it's still very hard to tell whether you could constitute this as a bit of a tropical onshore flow in terms of the rainfall that's coming through next week. It just looks like a couple of light showers moving in, something you need to see closer towards the winter months, but certainly something more interesting than what we have been seeing over the last couple of months for far north Queensland. Certainly something to get excited for if you are a rainfall lover. Now, just to wrap up the mainland part of this forecast update, I would like to briefly talk about the Northern Territory. They've got another 2 nights of some powerful severe thunderstorms expected. They have had a couple of good storms, let me tell you, especially especially last night. Accumulations around the Elliott area topped out at around 100 millimeters, so some very good falls there. Again, around Elliott, Wave Hill and Tennant Creek, some great storms expected this afternoon and evening. They're going to be widespread as well, extending in towards Queensland and also across into Western Australia. Thunderstorms going to be peppering the Mount Isa scene as well tonight, and also in towards tomorrow night as well. In fact, tomorrow night is probably going to be the worst night around the Mount Isa area for thunderstorms, tending to rainfall at times by the looks of things on this forecast, and then storms further up the coast into much more remote northwestern Queensland, then to the northeastern corner of the Northern Territory as well. There'll be the last night of powerful thunderstorms in the interior parts of the Northern Territory before they return further north into Arnhem Land. As you can see on Saturday, a bunch of thunderstorms expected into Arnhem Land around the Darwin area, in stark contrast to where the thunderstorms have been over the last couple of days, and it looks like just a return to the typical wet season patterns throughout the first week of December. Nothing really crazy here. A couple of good drops expected over the northern parts of Western Australia, though. This is certainly something that's worth watching. And just having a look at this little kind of spin up here offshore from Western Australia. This is a sign of tropical cyclone activity, and I've seen a few rumbles on some forecast models that we might be seeing a weak tropical cyclone sometime in the first week of December offshore from Western Australia. And I mean, it has just been rumbles, but just take a look at this forecast picture here. It doesn't seem all that unlikely, so we will keep a very close eye on this. But in terms of rainfall accumulation over the next 10 days, very healthy across much of the Northern Territory, well in excess of 150 millimeters for Darwin. Also some great falls for the northern parts of Western Australia. The first real rainfall looks to be piping up into the first week of December. Fantastic to see. It's getting really, really wet across the northern parts of Australia, and again, absolutely fantastic to see. I imagine a lot of people are getting very, very excited for this. And just to wrap this video up, yes, we do by definition have a tropical cyclone offshore from Western Australia. This is Tropical Cyclone 96S, and it does look a treat actually this morning. I mean, take a look at this offshore from Western Australia. Really put in the work last night to wrap itself up into what looks like now a fully fledged tropical cyclone with wind speeds of 35 knots. That's 40 miles an hour, 70 kilometers an hour, fully in American mode from hurricane season. But yeah, it is by definition a tropical cyclone, but it's not classifiable by the Bureau of Meteorology yet because it doesn't have 3/4 of the winds sustained as gale force, and it also doesn't have those 10-minute sustained winds of 35 knots yet. But it is a hot shot of doing it today sometime, especially over the coming couple of hours, just considering the forecast or the nature and the conditions that this system finds itself in. In terms of the track motion, it's going to be heading towards Western Australia over the coming couple of days, but it will weaken out through tomorrow night and into Saturday morning as well. It looks like it really peters out there. Wind shear gets to this system and rips it apart. Cooler sea surface temperatures as well won't help it, so it's not going to get anywhere near Western Australia at any significant intensity whatsoever. And if this does get to a peak intensity, it's probably going to be around Category 1. The chance of Category 2 or stronger, very slim to nil at this time. But yeah, certainly very interesting to have a look at indeed. We do have our first tropical cyclone, technically speaking, if you want to get really technical and follow the international definitions. But if you're happy with how the Bureau of Meteorology classifies things, and I for one am also very happy with how they classify things, I think it's perfectly unique. We're still going to have to wait a couple more weeks until after the first tropical cyclone, unfortunately. It'd be great to see this get a name, though. It'd be very exciting indeed, especially considering it is that time of the year for cyclones, but unfortunately it doesn't look like it's going to happen, not at least in the coming couple of hours though, but I will keep you posted on this system. Anyways, that is all that I have time for today. You can tell that I'm waffling now towards the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching the video to this point. If you haven't already, then please consider subscribing, and also leave a like on the video while you're at it. And a special shout out to the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now, and I could not run the show without them, so again, their support is much appreciated. But that is all from me today, and I will catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.